Tucson Shootout. One of the most famous group rides in the country, easily. So getting to the group ride, I had to leave at 6:30 in the morning, so it makes for a pretty early day. Waking up at 5:30, eating breakfast, hitting the road. But as you can see, there's, I would say, at least 100 people on the ride. Here's the start. Takes a little while to get out of town, but once we get going, you can see the power's pretty high already. We kind of just started rotating at the start. Pretty normal for the shootout, but once the attacks start flying, it turns into pretty much a real race to Sprint Hill, which is, I believe it's like maybe 20 miles out or 22 miles out from the start. So the shootout section is this first 22-mile section. As you can see, we're just pace lining, waiting for the attacks to start going, so nothing too crazy yet. A lot of really good guys on this group ride. Really good quality workout. Probably one of the best workouts you can do in Tucson. And you see, here we go, following a move. Trying to catch back on to this tail end of this group. It was pretty windy, kind of a headwind on the way out, and as you can see, it's slightly uphill. Here I am following this jelly belly dude. So for stuff to get away, it was really hard today because just so much, it was just really hard due to the headwind and the slight uphill. So rarely have I ever done shootout and seen a breakaway get away. Usually always comes down to a field sprint up the final little hill. Here you go again, following another move. And that's what's really fun about shootout is there's really no tactics. It's kind of just, it's a training race, training ride, so everyone just wants to hurt themselves and get the biggest quality workout they can get out of the day. So it makes it a lot of fun, really aggressive. Pretty much just attack after attack. This is always a good ride to test your early fitness, kind of see where you're at. Gauge yourself off some other riders, because especially for me, I haven't been riding outside much when I was stuck in Iowa, so to come here and, you know, do these 500 watt efforts, chasing moves down and getting that real race quality ride in. A lot of surging, a lot of attacks. It's really fun to see kind of where you're at training wise, so this is the perfect ride to do for that. As you can see here, I'm doing a pretty big effort to catch onto this break. It's a good sized group, so I wanted to be a part of it. Tried to go across by myself, but we were caught a little later on here. So kind of the story of the day. Stuff goes away, stays out for a minute or two, comes back, goes away. Here I am following UHC guy after something just launched up the road and he's trying to get into it, so I hopped on his wheel for the free ride up to the front group. Kind of see we went straight through that move. Looking back to see who's with him. Getting ready to go again. I decided to pull through. Trying to hurt myself as much as possible. Three or 4 miles out from the actual finish, and this rally guy attacked, so I followed him. We're going fairly quick, so sitting on in the draft while he's sprinting wasn't too bad. And right when he let up here, I countered attack and tried to get away. Which the odds of me sticking this were pretty small, but I think I made it about a minute, maybe 2 minutes by myself before I was caught. And this hurt pretty bad. We're picking up some riders there from the group ride. The shootout that started a little before us. There's a B group, you could say, that starts a little before us, but there I am already caught. And that was kind of the rest of my ammunition of the ride was wasted on that. Here we go into Sprint Hill. You can see a lot of guys are kind of fried. If you were given a good dig up the hill. And this Sprint Hill is tough. It's a long ways. You just die out halfway up. I kind of gave it a go here. You can see everyone's kind of peeling off to the right. Everyone's done. and I made it about halfway up before I blew. And that's the top. After that, we regroup. Those who want to go to Madera Canyon split off and stop at a gas station here, fill some bottles, shed some layers. It's a tough ride to dress for just because it's so cold in the morning and gets in the 80s by then. So here we go, headed into the Madera Canyon, 4.3 miles, 6% grade. And right here, the attacks already began, strung out. And it's a hard climb because it's stair steps, so you really want to stay with those lead guys so you can get through the flat sections or flatter sections and make it to the steep stuff. Trying to just survive the steep stuff's the name of the game. People peeling off. Gap's kind of opening up here. It's a really good effort because it's so steady with a few punchy steep sections. This guy's giving his last little dig. I kind of go around him, try to get back on. And now there's only 4 of us left. I'm the last guy here. It's a silver guy, a jelly belly guy, and a UHC dude who's attacking right now. And it's starting to get a lot steeper. The power's starting to spike. And these guys are just really laying it on the steep section. And that's kind of what I struggle with the most. So for me to do this 60 miles in, 70 miles into a training ride is super beneficial and really recreates that race day scenario. You can see we're at 8%, 400, 500 watts, and the silver guy and I are just slowly coming off, and I kind of go around him, and this is basically where I sit for the next 2 or 3 minutes, and the gap just slowly goes up. And I knew if I couldn't catch on before the next little flat plateau spot that it was over, because those two working together on the flat, if I can't make it up the steep stuff and sit in on the draft and get a little breather before the next steep section, it's all over. So this was a nice slow death. Heart rate's pinned, trying to keep my cadence high. Still holding a decent amount of power. I was trying to just be steady since they kept kind of spiking the steeper stuff, and like I said, it's not what I'm the best at, so I kind of tried to just ride within myself and keep it together as long as I could. Here's one of those flatter sections, 2 to 3% midway up before picking it back up to 7, 8, 9. And at the top, it actually gets, I think it hits almost 20%. It's really steep towards the top. See the gradients, 10%, slowly climbing, 11%. Power's still sort of there. I started to fade pretty bad after this second steep section. Cadence is dropping. It's just hard to find a rhythm when it's so steep like that. Yeah, here's where it really gets tough. 17%, 18%, just grinding away. The slow death of a cyclist on a climb. Getting dropped. Popped like a greasy turd. Just creeping at this point. Everyone's scattered everywhere. I think the Jelly Belly guy had dropped the UHC guy at this point, so it's a free-for-all. Every man for themselves at this point. And finally we make it onto the one-way towards the top and make it to the finish. Now for the fun part, the screaming descent. We were kind of using a little of the oncoming lane just because we knew there was a car parked. We saw it on the way up. There was a car parked on the side of the road. And so we were just making sure we weren't going to run into that thing. So that's not what you want to do when you're doing 50 miles an hour. And there's the parked car. Great spot to be. hitting warp speed with these dudes, coming out of the canyon, heading back to Tucson. And a little fun fact about this ride, no one that went to Madera out of the 6 of us that peeled off of the group of probably 100 that went to do Madera Canyon as extra. No one's a local. Actually, everyone here is a Canadian except me. I was the only American, so it's pretty fun. We all meet up in one spot and can be able to train together. "125 miles later, I'm back from the first shootout, and I am blown. Time to get some food."